Hello, welcome to Whistle Stop MatSu. I'm Patty Sullivan. I'm here with Mayor Vern Halter.
Hello.
As well as Hugh Leslie, our Recreation and Library Services Manager. So first item of discussion, the election. Mayor, what did you want to?
Well, elections is going to be certified next Tuesday night, and of course we've had some close races. I guess the most notable one is Assemblymember Dan Mayfield and the candidate Moki Tews. Mr. Tews led by, I believe, 18 or 20 votes after the first night, and then when they did a recount of all, or not a recount, when they did all the absentee ballots, Assemblymember Mayfield came out ahead by 18 votes now. So
that's right.
And then we had other elections. Our new assembly member is going to be Ted Leonard, filling in for Assemblymember Culligan. So he won that one pretty handily. And we had some other races. The school board, what do we have on the school board this year? We had
Ole Larson unchallenged.
Yeah, Ole Larson won handily, unchallenged. Kelsey Trimmer leads Emery Schramm, and so he probably is going to keep his seat. Kind of a different sort of election was up in Talkeetna, where the people inside the Talkeetna sewer and water service area voted on a 3% sales tax, and that won by about 20 votes. So 52 yes, and 40 no votes, and that money is to go to help capital projects and operation of the sewer system and water system up there, which is they needed help. So,
and that was an interesting vote, given handling how to pay for that was tricky.
Exactly. Years ago we tried to use bed tax, and we got the legal department for the MatSu Borough said we couldn't use the bed tax, so we've been looking for a funding source, so this is going to be it. And I'm glad the voters took it on and voted to do this, myself personally. Some of the other things in the election was, of course it's an off year. Some places, some areas didn't even vote on anything. Like in Willow, there wasn't anything to vote on. There wasn't an assembly member, there wasn't a petition or anything like that. But there was only 9% of the voters in the MatSu Borough voted overall. And boy, that's kind of disappointing.
It is.
Considering we have about 45,000 registered voters totally. But the good news was in Big Lake, where that contested race was 25% of the voters, high rates of voting.
The highest turnout.
And
and so the election will be certified next Tuesday at 5 o'clock,
yes,
right?
That's the plan.
If there is any request for a recount, it has to come in by 3 p.m. that day.
Correct. That's our great clerk here, Lonnie McKechnie. She runs that, and I guess if there's a tie in votes, you could have an automatic recount, but there isn't a tie, so Mr. Tews would have to request a recount by 3 p.m. next Tuesday, and this is a close vote. We'll see if he does or doesn't.
That's right.
And other good news is my good friend Mayor Burt Cottle won handily over in the city of Wasilla.
Okay.
So.
Hugh, do you want to talk about pools and the rec bond projects and more?
Sure. Thank you for inviting me to come down here. I'm going to start in a different spot. We also have a real interesting project going on right now. The 5 libraries that the borough operates are working on a strategic plan right now to help plan the future of our 5 libraries. As you know, we built a new library in Sutton and Talkeetna, and we would like to do some renovations in Willow. We have some consultants in right now from the lower 48. They're finishing up their last meeting tonight in Willow. They'll be interviewing patrons as well as staff, and some of the elected folks have been invited to come up there. That'll be an interesting project. That'll be in front of the Assembly in January as a presentation to the Assembly. We also just closed Matt River Park for the season. We had a wonderful year. We made some significant changes in our operation there in terms of reservations and credit cards and advertising, and we actually turned about a 25% increase in revenue at Matt River Park this year over last year, which is just a wonderful thing to say about our staff out there. We've got some big projects going on in the parks right now, even though we're sort of out of our park season. The campground at Jim Creek is coming to fruition. I did an inspection out there earlier today. We're within a week of closing out that project, a 28-site campground at Jim Creek. It looks amazing. The views out there are amazing. That will actually come online next spring. The park shop will be moving from the corner of Auckland and Gilcana here in the city of Palmer and be moving out there. That project should be wrapped up by the end of the calendar year, so we're actually going to move all of our operations out there. We'll be able to be responsive to the folks that use that facility. The state of Alaska is actually going to rent office space in that building, so we'll have an opportunity for visitors to come out and meet with our staff and meet with the state staff, and it'll also become an emergency base of operations. If there is an incident out there, they can use our facilities for that. It's a 7,000 square foot building. It's going to be a big addition to Jim Creek. I do want to talk a little bit about the bond projects.
Before we go there, tell us a little bit about some of our partnerships with Great Land Trust. I know we did the 40, and I think there's a new one coming up down Settlers.
There is, yeah. Thank you for yesterday. We had an inspection of some property at Settlers Bay, which is adjacent to the hay flats. Great Land Trust is working with the owner of Settlers Bay to acquire a significant piece of acreage down there. It's right around 200 acres that will become sort of a coastal park for us. It's going to be non-motorized trails, cross-country trails, hiking trails, maybe some biking trails in that area between the hay flats and KGB Road. Beautiful views out there along the salt marsh. There's 3 creeks that go through that area.
It's right below the golf course.
It's right below the golf course, yeah. That particular area they've decided not to develop, and they'd like to preserve it in a natural setting. And we did kind of a walk around yesterday to determine potentially where a parking lot might go, where a primitive restroom facility might go. Really just a neat piece of property. And again, Great Land Trust helped us out there. They helped us out with the top of the butte. They've helped us out with a number of projects.
So they buy the property themselves, and then they'll eventually deed it over to the MatSu Borough, and we'll manage it.
Right, yep. They put in some conservation easements to make sure that it's held in a natural state in perpetuity, so that it doesn't get developed, and that the public has it in public ownership forever. So that's going to be a really nice project.
Very exciting, that partnership with Great
Really
Land Trust. It's a wonderful group.
You know, that side of the valley doesn't have much either as far as recreation. You know, there's no mountains really over there to hike.
Well, I think that location down there, Settlers Bay by the golf course, that's a needed spot right there. And it's such a beautiful acreage to develop.
Yeah, it will be. We're very fortunate that this kind of came out of a meeting they had with the owner several months ago. I got invited to tour the property and thought, you know,
I remember we walked it 2 years ago, didn't we? You and I and some of the Great Land Trust people.
Some of the Great Land Trust people. Yep.
So wonderful, good job.
If I can just talk briefly about some of the bond projects that I'm personally working on. There's a series of projects, trails and recreation facilities. The 3 I want to touch on are the 2 pools and the ice rink. The Brett Memorial Ice Arena is up for repair and replacement of the refrigeration system. We're at about 95% completion on the drawing part of that, the architectural part of that. That will actually go out to bid here very shortly. The Brett Ice Arena, unfortunately, will close approximately March 15th, and it will stay closed until approximately early September as we remove the existing refrigeration system, which is a substance called R22. It's no longer manufactured. It's an environmental hazard. We're going with a CO2 system, which is environmentally more friendly. It's cheaper to operate. We'll actually see an energy savings in terms of our electrical use out there. We're going to replace some lighting out there. There won't be a whole lot of new additions the public will see. That's the unfortunate part of this project, but the building will operate much more efficiently and be much more safer, and carbon dioxide will be around as long as there are trees and people. So that's an exciting project that you guys will see and the public will see coming up very soon.
When is the plans for that to be completed?
Well, we're at 95% right now. We're planning on going out to bid before the end of the calendar year. And so we'll hopefully get a good contractor on staff here or under contract by January. So there's some lead times on some of the projects. These compressors come probably out of the lower 48 or Canada. They have about a 6-week lead time, so we've got to give them plenty of time to get this project done.
And Hugh, that's just one of the many projects that are on that $22 million bond package from a year ago, right?
Right. The bond package was, as Patty said, $22 million, largest recreation bond in the history of the state of Alaska. We really put a mark in the sand when we did that. I want to thank the voters again for getting out and voting for that. That was an overwhelming win, 56 to 44%. We'll really upgrade a number of our facilities, give us some new trails, give us some new recreation facilities up north, Meadow Lakes, Willow, and Talkeetna. So those really turned out well. The big projects we're working on right now are the Palmer and Wasilla pools. We had a 60% review meeting with the public last night. It was a
I heard that was a pretty exciting meeting.
It was a very well-attended meeting. There was some interesting dialogue, very good discourse. We took down a number of notes to tweak the design that we have. We're going to be working on those over the next several weeks.
Who's the architectural firm working on the Wasilla pool?
Architects Alaska.
They were there. They were present at the meeting last night, and
yeah.
they probably took a lot of notes.
The Architects Alaska did the feasibility study back in 2012, 2013. They did not automatically get this bid. We did go out to bid for the actual construction part of it and design part. And they were on staff they were in the building with us last night. And we're going to be meeting with them this week and next week to come up with some ideas based on what we heard last night. And we'll have a second meeting with the public on the 29th of November at 6 p.m. here in the Assembly Chambers. We'll have public notices out at the pools just like we did last time, emails out to all of our user groups as well as the people that were there last night. But just to kind of have everybody a time frame on that, Wasilla Pool will close first. It's going to close next spring of 18, and it'll be down for about a year because we're going to completely gut the facility, put in an entirely new operating system, plumbing, electrical, heating, and then we turn right around as soon as we're done with that, and then close the Palmer Pool for about a year, starting from 19 to 20.
But the Wasilla Pool will be completely finished, then you work on
Wasilla Pool will be done. Part of the problem with the Wasilla Pool is it's the wrong length to hold regulation high school swimming meets, and so we're going to fix that. So Wasilla will actually be able to be the home team at their swim meets. They haven't been able to do that, and we didn't want to not have the ability to host swimming meets here in the Valley, so we're closing them first. And when we come back online, it'll be just like a brand new facility. The other thing we're doing right now at the pools, we're going to an online registration system. Very exciting for those parents, myself included, who's had to wait in line to see if I get my son or daughter enrolled in swimming lessons. Now you actually do it online. And
that crowd makes up the bulk of your revenues.
Oh yeah. The largest portion of the revenue at the pools is through our swimming lessons. And people complained for years about having to wait in line, so that's going to be changing. We're going to be developing all of the classes that way, and you'll actually be able to go online and once you create a user profile for you and your swimming your children, you'll just be able to go back in and sign them up all the way along. It's really going to be a positive thing for the folks that use the pools. And the designs, as I mentioned, we had really good discourse last night, some really good comments. We're going to see significant changes to not only the pool, but the locker rooms, a little more privacy for people in the showers, a little more staff space. So it's really going to be an exciting project, and as we get information back from the architects and we go out to bid, we'll make sure everybody knows what's going on out there.
Both pools, Palmer and Wasilla, are getting basically the same work over, right?
Both of them are
major renovations.
Major renovations. Every operating system at those facilities has reached its useful life. Plus, there were some code violations that once we started the work, we absolutely had to update in terms of electrical code, ADA accessibility, those kind of things. That'll all be taken care of as part of this project.
So 2 years from now, 3 years from now, we'll have both pools totally renovated. 2
pools, an ice rink, new park shop, new campground. Yeah, it's going to be a very exciting time.
Good job. A lot of work.
Yes, it is.
Great job last night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sometimes those meetings can be frustrating, but you learn a lot and you can improve the design.
So yeah, and we welcome the public to come out. That's our job, to be responsive to the public, and we listened very carefully last night, and there were some very passionate people, which shows me they care about the pools. That's what we want.
That's good.
Great.
Excellent.
All right, next up, MatSu Transportation Fair, the 10th fair. You were there, Mayor.
Yeah, I was there. That was very
Started
enjoyable.
off the meeting.
A lot of booths. Of course, the state's there, the borough's there, and everybody's showing off their individual projects. And the one thing I really enjoyed was that there was a table you could go and complete a survey. And what was the survey on? You would pick your 5 favorite projects out of 15 or 20, the ones you would like to see funded
That's
right
right.
now, all the updates. And so that was a kind of interesting thing I thought. And then, of course, you could go around and see all the layouts of all the projects going, and
That's right.
both state and borough.
That's right. That survey is still online if you want to go on the Borough Facebook page or the Borough website. You
Right.
can fill that out.
Pick your 5 projects that you would like to see funded in the short term, near future.
That's
is what
right.
we're looking for.
93 projects were represented
Yeah.
at that fair. 482 people attended, which was the largest turnout ever.
And it's at the Menard Center this year. And
Yeah.
I like that location. It's kind of more of a central location for everybody, and it seems like it does grow every year, and it's just a wonderful event. And I had a chance to talk to a lot of the state people and some of their projects, and the coordination between the state and borough since I'd say the last 6 to 8 years, it's just been wonderful to watch. We've been, they've been funding some of the projects, and we've been managing them and building the projects, and that's worked out very well. Those 10 to 15, $20 million projects, and
Yeah, some tremendous projects. I was at the Kinnick Goose Bay table, and one of the project managers said 18,000 people are on this road a day.
Wow.
It's the most heavily traveled 2-lane highway.
I could believe that, because
Yeah.
I was waving signs down at the corner of Vine and KGB on the day of the election, and I could not believe the traffic. Especially,
Yeah.
you get in that 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock range. It's just bumper to bumper.
Yep.
So we need to work with the state and get that road upgraded and improved,
That's right.
and get the flow of money coming down from the federal government, which is really going to supply a lot of money for road projects through the state to our borough projects, and so we need to stay on task on that.
All right. That fair opened up an hour earlier this year, so that might be part of why it had a large turnout.
And that 3 to 4 p.m. was that was a high attendance.
I believe it was.
Yeah, I think I read that someplace, and I do have a little bit of a bad news. John Moosey is in mourning, and his beloved Cleveland Indians lost to the New York Yankees last night. So
It's very sad.
very sad. So that's a
It's been down.
kind of a well, he's a trooper. He's up working. I'm just kidding, but he is a diehard Cleveland Indian fan. So, and I think he flew out and watched 2 of the games this weekend, all the way home with I think it was his brother.
Or son.
Brother
I
and
think.
son, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Rowdy,
that was pretty amazing. So
something.
I was mourning with him. I was kind of hoping they'd win too. So
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us this week.
let's see. Do we have anything else? Actually, for the public, I want to just mention too that we're constantly working on some of our big projects, and the one that sometimes generates a lot of concern is the railroad spur project from
Yes.
Houston down to the port. And I just want the public to know that the borough, Mr. Moosey and I had a chance, thanks to Senator Dan Sullivan, to meet with Elaine Choi, the Secretary of Transportation from Washington, and we had a great private meeting, and we emphasized the need to finish this project. All the money that's been spent on the project so far, a lot of people think there was borough taxes, and that is certainly not true. Not really any borough money has been spent. It was all state grants to do the project to the level it was, $182 million, and we need the finishing money now. And so we had a great meeting with the Secretary of Transportation,
Right.
and hopefully she gave us some great ideas, and she made some calls for us right away immediately. So hopefully we'll see some fruition there and get that project completed.
That's right. There's also meetings with natural resource companies that the borough isn't
Right.
really able to speak about because those companies aren't ready yet to go public.
So we're always working on that. I know sometimes it's been a slow project. The state was our funder right up until everybody knows when the price of crude oil dropped.
Mm-hmm.
That really impaired the state's ability to continue some of these projects or any big project. So, but we are working on it.
There are 2 large projects that we can state on the record, which is the A-to-A, Alberta to Alaska Railway project. Meade Treadwell was recently at the
Right.
Arctic Port Conference last week and said, Port Mac, that's our terminus. There's also Trilogy Metals, the copper concentrate mine up in the Ambler district. They have identified Port Mac Rail as the marine terminal. So not everybody knows that.
It's just something we are working on. We want to get this project finished. It's a little frustrating. I understand for MatSu Borough residents sometimes it sounds like we're spending borough tax money on it, but we truly aren't. We have spent some money on those emergency repairs on the dock that was
yep.
required, and of course those were caused by Mother Nature forces out of our control, and if you don't repair things like that,
Yep.
you're kind of doomed. So.
And they require maintenance as
Yeah.
well. Yep.
Otherwise, I think everything in the borough, the election's over, everything in the borough is running smoothly, and
Yep.
we haven't had much of a winter yet. I don't know who's in charge of the weather here in the MatSu Borough, but I'd like to talk to him about
Yes.
this constant rain.
Right.
So, so
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you, Mayor, for your time.